Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Tuesday, the 2nd of April. Good to have you aboard, part of the Believe Podcast Network, and presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you've been involved in any kind of an accident, motorcycle, boating, hit and run, I send you to where you're going to be treated like family, get you the compensation you deserve. Let them put their skills to work for you. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. So glad to have you aboard here. We got a lot to capitalize off of last night. A lot happened. A lot's happening tonight. Tonight's a big local sports day. Panthers, struggle city. Heat, both in action tonight. Last night, NCAA women's tournament. There's a lot happening. And of course, Bet Online. That's your bracket headquarters. The best bracket contests out there. Odds, lines, info on every game, every round, right up through the national championship, both the men's and the women's side. And you can access up-to-the-minute wagering info anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices. Even track your bracket in real time all the way through the tournament. Head to BetOnline today. Get in on all the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, a couple house cleaning issues that I want to make sure we talk about here before we get into the meat of everything. Excuse me. Couple things real quick. If you were on last night, if you watched live, brand new episode of It's Still Real to Me. We've kind of tried to shift the show. That's my wrestling podcast. We've kind of tried to shift the show to Mondays right before Monday Night Raw. But the last two episodes, and the last episode we did, I think, was this past Thursday night. These last two episodes, and if you didn't catch us with the live stream, please make sure you're signed up for the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ZASLOW Show. I don't put a ton of emphasis on the YouTube channel, but I'd like you guys to watch the interviews because we load the entire interview. Ever I do an interview, like yesterday, had SEC Network's Peter Burns on with us. You got the whole interview. You could see us, all right? The podcast is the bread and butter, but I like when you guys go to YouTube and you watch the interviews. And whenever we live stream, It's Still Real to Me. I like you guys to be able to participate. So make sure you're subscribed, youtube.com/@ZASLOW Show. And make sure you have the notifications, a little bell. Make sure you have the notifications turned on. But I do want to say, the last two episodes we've done of It's Still Real to Me, and granted, WrestleMania's this weekend. We're 4 days away. It's super fucking hot. And by the way, make sure you listen to me. 6 p.m. this Saturday, ESPN Radio, I'm hosting a WrestleMania preview show. I mean, how cool is that? Come on now. This Saturday, 6 p.m., ESPN Radio, WrestleMania preview show. I'm very excited. I'm hosting it solo. That's going to be awesome. All right. So anyway, the last two episodes that we've done of It's Still Real to Me, biggest audiences we've had yet. Granted, it's WrestleMania week. Okay. But we've had a really good live crowd that has been watching us, and you get to comment and ask questions. We got the regulars. They love interacting. I want more of you guys to interact. And you know what? We've had record, live stream views for It's Still Real to Me, and I love that. If you're listening after the fact on the podcast, that's awesome too. I love that. So we want to keep growing that. And look, who knows? Maybe we get to a place where we could do some ZASLOW Show 2.0 on the live stream. I'll let you behind the curtain for a second, all right? Here's why we don't do that, at least right now. I know obviously I have a whole team working on ZASLOW Show 2.0, but it's going to be, difficult, impossible for me to have all the graphics, sound, music beds, all of that stuff on the live stream, all right? Again, I got a whole team working here, but it's still going to be real. That's why after every episode at the end, I always thank everybody who works so hard behind the scenes, putting every episode of ZASLOW Show 2.0 together. But a live stream of ZASLOW Show 2.0, it may be tough for the entire team to be able to do live, all right? A lot of stuff is able to happen behind the scenes after the fact to put out the episode of ZASLOW Show 2.0. The quality, production-wise, that you've come to expect from my team here at ZASLOW Show 2.0. So maybe we'll get to a place one day, all right? But for now, it's still real to me. I think it's a good way to kind of dip our toes in the water when it comes to the live stream. So anyway, that's a little bit behind the scenes. Thank you guys for watching or listening last night to the live stream of It's Still Real to Me. I thought we did a really good episode. We talked about CM Punk's appearance yesterday on Ariel Helwani's The MMA Show. Awesome appearance. Got into so much stuff. Really great. And I'm halfway through Monday Night Raw from last night. I know the ending, once again, is apparently explosive. So I'm looking forward to finishing that at some point this afternoon. But last night, we were dialed in. Last night, we had the women. And before I get to that, one more thing. Everybody calm down. One more thing. So you guys know over the weekend, it was Sunday, right? Yeah. Sunday, my son and I, my younger son, Jordan, and I, he loves movies, all right? And he's really into movies, movie reviews. He watches movie reviews. He wants to know everything about the movie before it comes out. He's way into movies. We hope that that's going to be his thing, and maybe in some capacity, he's going to want to be involved in TV or film one day, you know? And we saw Godzilla, X-Kong, The New Empire on Sunday. And he released a review, a movie review, which we put on the ZASLOW Show YouTube page. And I also tweeted out a link too. So if you want to check that out, I tweeted that out yesterday. But you guys have all been so kind. It's got a bunch of views. He loves it. And I appreciate everybody who's been really supportive. You know, you've had some messages on Twitter, some messages on the YouTube page under the video. And like I said, and I expected, I didn't expect it for people to say, oh, he sucks. I did not expect that, you know. So I just want to put that out there. I think in general, people are, you know, for the most part, people are kind to kids, you know. I didn't expect there to be anything nasty. But you guys have been really supportive of that, and he sees it, and he loves it. And here's a funny thing. So he wants to see the likes and the comments. And so I make sure the comments are turned on. And they're turned on. And then, an hour later, the comments are off. And it's like, hey, Dad, the comments are off. So that's really weird. And so I keep turning them back on. And then last night, I decided to Google it and check it out. And YouTube turns it off automatically when it sees that there's a minor. When it sees that a minor is in the video to, protect the minor from any potential nasty comments, they turn it off themselves. Even though I turn it on, they then go and turn it off. So, which I thought was pretty interesting. I didn't know they're paying that close attention to every YouTube video to see, oh, there's a minor in this video. Let's continue. Let's keep, even though the owner of the video is turning them on, let's turn it off. So I just thought that was interesting. But anyway, go watch the video. You click the like button. He likes seeing all of that good stuff. And if you got ideas for movies for him to review, I guess you can't put them in the comments on that video, but you can message me on Twitter or Instagram, where I'm obviously an influencer. So again, big thank you to you guys who checked that out, because he sees it and I knew you guys were going to be good to him. So we'll keep doing some of that stuff. All right, let's get to the important stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. Now, how were we enjoying the game last night? You know how we enjoy the game. Sitting in the ZASLOW Mansion family room on the couch, ice cold Johnny Cuba in my hand. That's right. Johnny Cuba, official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0. European roots with that Caribbean soul. It's a refreshing German lager in a can. You could pick up a six-pack, enjoy the Panthers tonight, hopefully. Enjoy the Heat tonight, hopefully. You go to Sedano's or Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. Get yourself a six-pack of Johnny Cuba, most delicious beer out there. You think we're having some bum beer as the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0? Johnny Cuba. That's how we roll. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. So I did It's Still Real to Me last night. Got done around 7:45. And so I joined the basketball game in the middle second quarter. All right. And I got the Panthers, which is on DVR. So I rewound that to watch that from the beginning. And I got the dual TV action. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't sure which one should be on the big TV, but the Panthers once the Panthers fell behind last night 4-1, it's like, fuck this. I put the Panther game on the small TV. I put the women on the big TV. And let's talk about the game now. So, you turn on everywhere. Obviously, Iowa wins 94-87. And UConn, I don't have a ton to say about the UConn game. Paige Beckers, UConn wins 80-73. Juju Watkins, oh, poor girl, the crying afterward. Felt really bad for her. She's fantastic. I assume she's going to stick around in school. And she is, I would say without question, going to be the best player in the nation. She's terrific. And she's going to continue to grow. And she's already thick and strong. And she's going to continue to get better and better and just dominate that game. But anyway, the conversation is about Iowa. Iowa and LSU. Iowa, they exercised those demons from last year. And look, last night, ZASLOW, all of a sudden you're an expert in the women's game? Well, listen, I'm on ESPN radio often enough. I'm doing 4 nights a week, essentially. And I got to keep track of this stuff. So, yes, that's right. I've become an expert in very short time. But last night was a great example of what the women's game has over the men's game. They are allowed to develop stars. The men's game doesn't have that. In the men's game, the big-time players, they leave. One and done. In the women's game, mainly because they don't make enough money in the WNBA, and now with NIL, they make so much money in school, the women stick around. And so I know the stars. It's easy to learn the stars. You got stories and rivalries that carry over from year to year. And the women's game last night was a great example of what the men's game does not have. You think I'm watching last night's game? Appointment TV. If I don't know the players, I don't know the characters, I don't know the stories behind that game, last night is why the women's game is growing compared to the men's college basketball game. In that sense, it is a much better product. Now, let's also point out, Twitter, social media, could be a bit of an echo chamber. This idea that the more people are watching the women, or that more people are excited about the women, more people are interested about the women, you could say that, but the numbers don't bear that. The men's tournament up against the women's tournament, the men's dominates it. Like the women's game is growing more because we've been watching the men's game for decades. The women's game is growing more, to be sure. But if you go look at the numbers for the tournament, the men's game dominates, and the women's game is never going to catch it. But as far as growth goes, the women's game is in a phenomenal position. But last night I thought was a great example. And I've been saying this, I've been telling you this. The women's game has a major advantage over the men's game because these girls stick around. The men, they can leave after a year. You go to the NBA, wherever you're drafted, you're getting a lot of money. With the women, like Caitlin Clark is going to go number 1 overall, and she's going to make $76,000 next year. Like, now, she's going to make millions in endorsements, but that's not the case for every girl, all right? You stick around in the college game, and you're making, maybe you're making $1 million in NIL. Stick with the college game. You're making so much more there than you will in the WNBA. And that's an advantage for the fans. The fans are the big winner in that scenario because these girls stick around and you get to keep watching them and you get to learn about the teams, the schools, and these rivalries. And you get what we got last night, which was just a big-time show. Now, when I say what we got last night, which was a big-time show, everyone is talking about how great the game was last night, right? Was the game great? Or was Caitlin Clark great? There's a difference. Did the game live up to the hype? Or did Caitlin Clark live up to the hype? There's a difference. I don't think it was a great game. And I don't hear anyone else saying anything but how amazing the game was. Now, the game was great in the sense that both teams were Like, both teams showed up for the moment. Both teams played super hard. Like, they lived up to the hype as far as how much the game means, the effort, and what you were hoping to get competition-wise from these girls. But the actual game, look, in the third quarter, Caitlin Clark caught fire, hitting 3 after 3. All of a sudden, they're up double figures. They never look back. Iowa, LSU cut the lead to 7 once or twice, but Iowa was up 10, 13 points the rest of the way. LSU never had possession in the fourth quarter within more than 7 points, or fewer than 7 points, I should say. So I don't think the game was great. LSU missed 1,000 shots in the paint. I don't think it was a great game. I think Caitlin Clark was great. I think the game lived up to the hype in the sense that it was so heavily contested. The competition was so intense, and you were able to see how much it meant to all of these girls. But was it a great game? No, I don't think so. I don't think it was a great game. Caitlin Clark was great. You go into that game, and Caitlin Clark, the pressure on her, she already said it's her last year. I guess she could change her mind if she wants, but she's not going to. It's her last year. It's her last chance. She's never won. And obviously, it's super hard to win. Super hard to win. It's hard enough just to get to the Final Four. But with Caitlin Clark, is she one of the best ever? Yes. Is she the best ever? I got a hard time saying that if you don't win. Like, winning a championship is not everything. But you can't be, for me, the best ever if you don't win a championship. You gotta win a championship if you are the best ever. In what sport does the guy who we claim is the best ever not also have won a championship? Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Tom Brady. We never say player X is the greatest ever, and they didn't win. The only guy that I would say, and this is very controversial, and there isn't really a clear-cut guy in Major League Baseball who you say is the best ever. But the only example that I would give would be Barry Bonds. A lot of people will say Barry Bonds is the greatest ever. They'll say he's the greatest hitter ever. Never won a World Series. Came close a couple times. Never won a World Series. Or I guess came close one time, right? 2002 against the Angels. Never won. A lot of people will say he's the greatest ever. But a lot of people will say he's not. And you got the controversy. The other guys, Brady, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, you don't get much argument in the way of those guys being the greatest ever. Like, yeah, if you want to make the argument that it's not Jordan, it's LeBron, okay, LeBron's got 4 championships, so great. If Caitlin Clark is going to be considered the greatest ever, you got to win a championship. So, I'm not pulling the Jay Williams move, where Jay Williams isn't even calling her great until she wins a championship. Don't be stupid. Like, was Charles Barkley not great? Was Karl Malone not great? Was John Stockton not great? Was Reggie Miller not great? Don't be stupid. Caitlin Clark is obviously great. But to be the greatest, I think you got to win a championship. So, there's a lot on the line as far as Caitlin Clark last night. A lot of pressure. And I liked, Ryan Rucco on the broadcast did a great job talking about how they asked Caitlin Clark this, and she doesn't get nervous. She feels the pressure, but she doesn't feel the nerves. And I thought that was interesting. So, Caitlin Clark, massive star, came through in a major, major way last night. She needs to win the whole thing. There's still a lot in line. You know what it feels like a little bit? It feels like when the 1980 U.S. men's hockey team, when they beat the Russians, that's what everybody remembers. That was not the gold medal game. That was not the gold medal game. They won that to get to the gold medal game. So here, they beat LSU to now get to the Final Four. They got 2 more games to win. 1 more to get to the final. You got UConn versus NC State, and you got South Carolina versus NC State, UConn versus Iowa. So if they were to get past UConn and then take on big bad South Carolina, I do think people will remember that. It's not going to be like nobody remembers the U.S. men's hockey team also had to play in a gold medal game after beating the Russians. But right now, she put herself in a position where she could be the greatest ever if she wins the whole thing. Now, I enjoyed the game because it was hotly contested. But the entire fourth quarter, game was never in doubt. It was never in doubt. There was not a moment in that fourth quarter. Like, Iowa never let them get on a run. They never got closer than 7. I don't think it was a great game. But maybe your definition of great game is different. If the game is super hotly contested and it somewhat lives up to the billing, does that make it a great game? Maybe. For me, the game's got to be in doubt in the fourth quarter for it to be a great game. That game was never in doubt. So when we talk about the game was great or the game lived up to the hype, was it the game that was great or was it Caitlin Clark that was great? Because I think it was the latter.